The time.
We are family.
Max Scherzer, double-digit Ks.
We're busting ours to kick yours.
Fun to watch.
Minus 15.
Respect all, fear none.
Into the upper deck.
Intensity is not a curfew.
Oh, mercy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome into MASN All Access. I'm your host, Paul Mancano, coming to you again from my apartment on this Tuesday. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that from wherever you're joining us, you're safe, you're healthy, and you're with your family during this time. In just a little bit, we're going to have MASNsports.com's Roch Kubatko on. We'll also be continuing our 20 in 20 series with a couple top Orioles prospects. The 2020 season would be just about 2 weeks in at this point, but the last spring training game was played just about a month ago, and with each passing day, baseball seems just a little further and further away. But ESPN's Jeff Passan is reporting that MLB and the Players Union is focused on a new plan that might bring baseball back as early as May. Here are some of the details of that proposed plan, according to ESPN. The season would begin in Arizona, and teams would play in the spring training stadiums clustered around the greater Phoenix area, as well as Chase Stadium, which is the home of the Diamondbacks. Players, coaching staffs, and essential personnel would remain in relative isolation and would only travel to and from the ballparks. That means that they would likely be away from their families for an extended period of time, maybe as long as 4.5 months if the season continues. The plan would also rely on the prevalence of rapid coronavirus testing, which is just one of numerous potential stumbling blocks for this plan. Well, Major League Baseball was quick to deny that they're zeroing in on any plan in particular. Here's a selection from MLB's statement earlier today. Quote, "While we have discussed the idea of staging games at one location as one potential option, we have not settled on that option or developed a detailed plan. The health and safety of our employees, players, fans, and the public at large are paramount, and we are not ready at this time to endorse any particular format for staging games in light of the rapidly changing public health situation caused by the coronavirus." Now we bring in MASNsports.com's Roch Kubatko, who joins us via FaceTime. Roch, thanks so much for hopping on here. I know there's special circumstances, but you're getting into the 21st century. Everybody's being forced into the 21st century by hopping on FaceTimes. I'm amazed we got Steve Molesky to do it last week, and now we have you join us.
Yeah, at least I can do FaceTime. I still don't know how to Zoom. I can't Skype. Meanwhile, though, I am Googling on how to cut your own hair. I'm getting a little desperate here. But yeah, it's a strange world we're living in right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have resorted to doing some home workout routines, including lifting trees. They look like entire full-grown tree trunks. So
yeah, we were really desperate. Yeah, the home gym. Since then, fortunately, I'm trying to remember to say fiance now, not girlfriend. Her CrossFit gym let her borrow some equipment. I have a neighbor down the street that I've met maybe twice. He said, "Look, I have weights collecting dust in the basement. Take whatever you want." So I grabbed a curl bar and some barbells. Before that, I was basically putting books in duffel bags. I bought a case of water, not to drink, just to lift it over my head. I mean, just try to do anything, and then, being stuck in a house those days, as you know, it's like, Emily comes home, she takes me for my walk, like I'm a dog. I get all excited because I get to leave the house and go around the block. Basically, I slipped back into the off-season mode. I don't know how that happened. I skipped right over regular season Roch and went right back into off-season Roch.
Yeah, at this point, I think we're all in a little bit of off-season mode. And yeah, that daily walk is the highlight of my day, every single day. So, Roch, I want to get your thoughts first and foremost on the new reported plan coming from ESPN's Jeff Passan this morning about the potential to restart the season as early as May, with games being played in Arizona in front of no fans. There were a bunch of other wacky proposals in that article that came out on ESPN.com this morning. But what are your thoughts on the new plan? Of course, MLB has backed off, saying that they are zeroing in on that plan. But if that plan were to go through, what would be your thoughts on that?
Did you ever see the movie Office Space?
I have.
Where the guy
one.
comes up with the jump to conclusions, Matt, and his coworker's like, "That's a horrible idea. Horrible idea." This is a jump to conclusions, Matt, idea by baseball. If they try and do this. I mean, you want to have some semblance of a normal season, at least one that's representative, where you can legitimately crown a champion. You're going to start playing games all in Arizona at different facilities. I saw the word field used, like at different fields. Like, why don't we just go to my elementary school where the fences are like 100 yards away, 100 feet away, and we'll just go ahead and play games at you can't just pick random fields to play Major League Baseball games. And if we're in the point of this pandemic where you still want to keep players, they sit in the stands, spaced out instead of the dugout, no mound visits by pitching coaches or catchers, you have to have a electronic strike zone so that the plate umpire can stay back, the proper social distancing. If you have to go through all that trouble, maybe we just shouldn't start the season yet. Give it a little more time before we do something that drastic, because I just think you're still putting people in harm's way, and I just don't think this can be, a legitimate season if you're playing in different sites like this in Arizona, in different fields and different complexes, spring training, whatever, and treating them like Major League facilities and Major League games. So I think this is something that's probably been kicked around like, hey, what if? And the news leaks and it gets reported, which is perfectly fine. That's what's supposed to happen. But baseball, that was not a coincidence that they issued that statement saying, whoa, we haven't decided anything. We're not close to anything yet. Because I just think that's really extreme.
Yeah, at some point, I think we're going to need people to smash some copiers if we're going to go along with the whole office space theme as baseball goes. It seemed like a pretty off-the-wall idea, and I agree with you. I think the timing was pretty interesting in terms of the timing of the release of the statement as well as the report coming out this morning, just kind of throwing things out there. Do you think that if baseball were to be resumed this year, they would opt for a more traditional sense of the game? Do you think that, if baseball were to return in 2020, they would go with a more traditional idea of the game as opposed to this kind of off-the-wall idea of games being played out in Arizona?
I mean, clearly that's what they would prefer to do. I just don't know how desperate they would have to become in order to do something that strange and different. Everything right now is just guesswork and speculation. As you know, we get asked all the time, or Michael Elias and Brandon Hyde get asked on conference calls, hey, when's the possible restart date? Don't know. How many games do you think they need to play? Don't know. Even Chris Davis said, don't know. Would there be a spring training in Sarasota or in Baltimore? Don't know. How many weeks would it last? Don't know. Like, everything is just, we're throwing out ideas and we really don't know, and it just confuses a lot of people. But ideally, baseball would like to be able to go back to where they would just pick up the season at whatever that date was on the schedule and just go and maybe add some games at the end. And obviously, postseason gets pushed back, and maybe there are neutral site, warm weather sites for the postseason, perhaps, which probably won't involve the Orioles, but you never know in this crazy year. Maybe the Orioles are in the postseason. Why not? But ideally, baseball would like to just do that. And that's what we thought was going to happen back in March when spring training was interrupted. Okay, it'll be X number of weeks into the regular season. We'll just pick up whatever that date is. But now the longer this thing goes, and I don't see any flattening of the curve at this point, you start thinking, well, there might have to be some more extreme measures. And then maybe they do decide, look, we need to go to a couple different, like Florida and Arizona was bandied about as a possibility instead of just Arizona. But again, if you have this many concerns about large gatherings and the travel and quarantining players in the hotels, except for them to leave to play the games and they go back and are away from the families for 4 months, whatever, I don't know how players are going to approve something like that.
Yeah, it does seem like some crazy ideas in what has been a pretty crazy year. But maybe the craziest thing so far to come out of 2020 is Cal Ripken Jr. has a Twitter account, which he just activated within the past 24 hours. And Rock, you spoke with him earlier this morning. You got a great piece on MASNsports.com about the work he is doing behind the scenes and the reason that he has started this Twitter account. What more can you tell us without giving away the whole article about your conversation with Cal this morning?
Well, it's a pretty long article, so I'm not going to recite the whole thing. But he told me that he's been tempted for a while to get on Twitter. And he likes to keep some of his life, private, which is hard for him to do. But he's always been kind of intrigued by it, and he respects people that are good at it, whatever that entails. So when his foundation, the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation, decided to go ahead and start to strike out hunger campaign to feed people who are struggling so much right now with this pandemic. When he decided to go ahead, launch an account now to go ahead and make that announcement, because they're obviously trying to raise money, and everything is in the article there and where they can do that. But it's basically to raise money for the various food banks and to help people in need. So Cal figured this is the perfect time if I'm going to do this sort of thing and branch this foundation off of just building more fields. I think they're coming up on their 100th, by the way, which is amazing. In the 7 or 8 years they've been doing this, but if they can branch out and do something like this, that's fantastic. They certainly have the resources and the time to do it. And what better way to get the word out than to put it out on Twitter? So that's what he's done. I asked him if he's been coached at all how to handle the Twitter trolls. And he laughed and said, "No, I need to talk to you about that." And I'm like, "I'm not good at that at all. You're not supposed to feed him. And I carry my own food, so I'm really not good at that." But anyway, so he doesn't even know how active he's going to be on it. But he says anytime he gets an idea or something strikes him, he wants to comment on, or he has a question about something, he'll go ahead and use Twitter. So yes, he's in the Twitter world now. God help him.
And yeah, seriously. And no one has been more giving with his time in terms of interactions with fans than Cal Ripken Jr. So that might suck up a lot more of his time if he's going through his mentions on a daily basis. But interesting stuff, of course, on MASNsports.com today, and then more coming in the days to come. Rock Kabako, thanks so much for joining us here on MASN All Access.
Hey, my pleasure. And I'll let you know how the haircut goes.
Yeah, please do.
Terrible idea. Horrible.
We're continuing our 20 in 20 series, highlighting 20 players in the Orioles system to keep your eye on in 2020 and beyond. And today, we've got 2 top Orioles prospects. We'll start with Ryan Mountcastle. Even before winning International League MVP in 2019, Ryan Mountcastle was one of the best hitters in all of the minor leagues.
And a long, mighty deep drive. He has hit his 3rd home run of the day. Ryan Mountcastle, a 2-run blast.
The question for the 23-year-old has never been if, but where. Drafted as a shortstop, Mountcastle got a shot at third base before eventually being switched to the other side of the infield.
Playing all the new different positions, left field, first, third base, took some extra reps over there.
A logjam at first base and DH could force Mountcastle into the outfield.
I'm not 100% sure which position I'll play because I'll probably be playing all over the place this year.
But it won't be long before he forces his way into the bigs. Mountcastle put up some pretty astounding statistics en route to that International League MVP. .312 average, 25 homers and 83 RBIs, all in just 127 games. And this was his first season in AAA. He played the bulk of his games at first base, just 9 games at third and 26 in left field. While he may be a designated hitter down the line in his career, the Orioles will probably like to exhaust all other options before relegating him to DH. Next up is another Orioles top prospect, their top pitching prospect, according to many, Grayson Rodriguez. A blistering fastball, a deadly changeup. Grayson Rodriguez is developing frontline stuff.
Swung on and missed. 10 strikeouts again for Grayson Rodriguez.
Rodriguez is a consensus top 100 prospect with the size and confidence to back it up.
You know, our goal coming into the year was just to get better each and every day. Results were something that would come second. They were there in the end, and I'm pretty happy with it.
His 2.68 ERA and gaudy strikeout numbers earned him Orioles co-minor league pitcher of the year in 2019.
Swung on and missed for strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts for Grayson Rodriguez.
The 20-year-old is still a few stops away from the bigs, but he's a good bet to work his way up to Baltimore in a hurry. The O's couldn't have asked for a better season from their number 2 overall prospect. It was just his first full year in pro ball. He made 20 starts, notched 10 wins, a 2.68 ERA, 129 strikeouts, which comes out to just about 12.4 strikeouts per 9. He struck out more than a third of the batters he faced. He had a whip under 1, and he only allowed 4 home runs all season long. Well, Gray Rod was one of just several pitchers on a stacked Delmarva staff. Almost 1,400 combined strikeouts, and even combined 3 ERA. They did so well, in fact, that they got their manager a promotion. Kyle Moore got the call up to High A Frederick in the offseason. And back in Sarasota in February, I had a chance to sit down with Kyle Moore and discuss his promotion. Here on MASN All Access from Sarasota, Florida, and now we are joined by Kyle Moore, joining the Frederick Keys. Last time we talked, you were at the Delmarva Shorebirds, so congratulations.
Yeah, for sure, thanks. I'm really excited about it. I love Frederick, and great. It's going to be a great year for us this year, hopefully, and we'll continue to carry over the same things that we finished with in Delmarva.
And you were a player in Frederick as well. What kind of memories do you have of the town and of the Frederick Keys?
I got great memories there. We had some really good teams when I was fortunate enough to play on them, and we won the league one year. But the town, I think, is awesome. I mean, I think it's our best minor league town. It's an actual town of its own. The community supports the team.
You have had this opportunity now to be with the Orioles in Sarasota in the Major League camp. What kind of things have you been doing with the major leaguers as the first couple days of camp have gone by?
Super excited about this opportunity. This is the first time I've ever been invited to Major League Spring Training, which is, I hate to say such a cliche, but a dream come true. I mean, to be around Major League coaches, Major League players, see how it's done, has been like amazing already. And the short is just working with catchers. I'm a catching guy. I've been learning a ton from Tim Cousins and all the catchers here. So that's what I've been probably gaining the most from, is just working with catchers, hearing how Tim talks to the guys and what his basis of his foundation of his program are. And then in second, just helping any way I can. If I need to go out and catch balls at first base or helping anybody in any way.
That catching group is a fascinating one here in camp because you've got veterans like Brian Holiday, you've got guys that you've worked with in the past like an Adley Rutschman. Sure. How would you describe this catching group that is pretty deep and varying in Major League experience?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an exciting group of guys. You got super young guys, you got a guy like Holiday who has some real Major League experience, and you got some guys in between who we have high hopes for. So it's a competitive group. It's a group where we're kind of hoping for some competition to come out of, and it's been awesome for me to see some elite Major League talented receivers catching the ball in the bullpen and their drill work. There's some really good receivers back there.
And of course, Brandon Hyde was a catcher himself back in the day. Have you had an opportunity to talk with him, kind of pick his brain on how he's running Major League camp here?
I haven't had that chance to pick his brain yet. Maybe over the golf course or something. One of these days I can get him. But I do know that he was a catcher, and that's awesome. That's just a connection I think that all catching guys have right off the bat.
How would you describe the way that Brandon Hyde runs his camp? We've heard words like professional, upbeat.
Brandon Hyde's intense, and he's really direct in what he wants this camp to be. And he's relayed that message to the staff, which is super clear. Awesome communicator. He's not a uptight person, which I think probably filters over to the players because it's just a great environment in general. I think that starts with him, and he certainly creates that.
Speaking of Brandon Hyde, you look at the first few years of his resume as a manager. He started down in the South Atlantic League with Greensboro, of course was a minor league catcher like yourself as well. Do you look at him as somebody that you can learn from, the way that he really rose up through the ranks and eventually got to that position to be a major league manager?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And when you see a guy who has his background, it's super exciting for a guy like me because we have some things in common. He's had an incredible amount of success. He's held some incredible jobs, and now he's a major league manager. So that's really cool for me to see his progression, how he's gotten here.
After the #GirlDad was going around and that movement following Kobe Bryant's passing, what was your connection to that, and what kind of message did you want to send with the tweets that you sent?
That was a sensitive subject because I'm not a huge basketball fan or Kobe fan, so to speak, but when something that tragic happens, I think we all kind of woke up and went like, wait, what? Like did that really happen?
Yeah.
And then when we kind of dug into it, my wife and I, and he had a thing called Girl Dad. Every baseball guy, or every sports guy for that matter, hopes to have like a son one day, you know? Like you want a son, play ball, throw ball, play catch.
Yeah.
But honestly, with my wife and I's journey, being a girl dad has just been the most tremendous thing ever that I could have never imagined or foreseen. So like when you see Kobe, he was a girl dad. Not that I have any connection with him, but when I see him and his previous posts about that, it really struck me emotionally. It really got me. It hit me like it was just a story on the TV until I saw #GirlDad, and then it hit me, it hit home.
You have a young daughter at home. You guys are preparing for this move to Frederick? Are you excited to bring the family along on this journey as well?
Super excited. They go everywhere with me. I'm super fortunate to have that. I got a little girl named Madeline. She's a year and a half. My wife goes with me, and we also have a dog named Malu. So I got 3 girls. I'm the only guy in the house, and it's beautiful. Wouldn't have it any other way, and we can't wait to get to Frederick. Hopefully we'll bring a little bit of warm weather with us in April, though.
And I'm sure Frederick fans will hope you bring the wins, too. You got 90 wins, record-setting in Delmarva last year. You excited to get your hands on the Frederick Keys and the young, exciting players that are going to be coming through there?
For sure. I think we're going to have a really nice roster, and we never really talked about winning games last year, and I think that it's still a low enough level to where we're still super focused on how we play, how we show up, how we be professional. So we're going to continue to focus on that. And you know what? We should win some games, but we're not really going to address it. You know, we'll hope that we'll do the right thing and the right results will show up.
Awesome. And I'm sure the fans will show up as well to support the Frederick Keys.
Hope so. Come on out and shake your keys.
Absolutely. Kyle Moore, new manager of the Frederick Keys, joining us here on MASN All Access. Don't forget about our podcast, the MASN All Access podcast. Myself and Bobby Blanco are the 2 hosts. We delve deeper into those 20 and 20s this week. We're going to be talking about Gray Rod and Ryan Mountcastle. You can catch the MASN All Access podcast on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Watch it on YouTube. Watch it on the MASN All Access Facebook page. Pretty much anywhere you get your podcast, you can get the MASN All Access podcast. That does it for MASN All Access. Thanks to Bobby Blanco and Hannah Broder behind the scenes as always. Remember, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay home. There's only one way we're getting through this, and that is together. We'll see you on Wednesday.